All right, so welcome everyone. This is our strength and conditioning class. So get ready to work out right now. We're gonna start with a warm up. So let me just put these shoes away. Forget how many pairs of shoes I own. But let's start with the warm up. We're just gonna start looking left to right over here. Left to right. Try to get some range of motion. And today we will be working out with dumbbells, using a chair, maybe a table. And then we also will probably end up on the floor at some point, up and down. We just want to make sure that we're kind of mindful of where all of our workout equipment is. And as always, let's make sure that we're using proper form. We're not being neck circles. We're not being too careless or nonchalant about our movements. Most injuries happen when folks aren't paying attention or maybe doing something too sudden or too quickly. And if something feels switch, if something feels uncomfortable, then yeah, just let me know so you could find a different variation. Let's see our snow angels. Let's bring that right arm across. Let's go left arm. Yeah, we had our competition on Saturday in Bakersfield. We'll be back there again this Saturday. And yeah, unfortunately, my runner, she had a rough day. She's dealt with asthma and allergies in the past, and around 4 p.m. on Saturday, there was like a sudden like gust storm that kind of rolled by the stadium, maybe for about 20 or 30 minutes. Let's go trunk rotations. And I think that was just enough to pick up enough dust and who knows, maybe even pollen from the Central Valley. And her allergies and her lungs just weren't cooperating after that. So we had a rough race um, on Saturday. So I'm hoping, this Saturday goes a little bit better. But yeah, her season's not up yet, so we're hopeful for this weekend. Let's do our ab circles. Make sure you're hinging at your hips. Keep that back straight. Come back. All right, let's go with big hula hoops. So big giant hip circles here. Morning, Ella. And Wayne.
Morning, Coach.
Morning. Switch. All right, just a little bit more. Let's do our quad stretch. Grab a hold of your right ankle and pull back. Work on your balance a little bit. Any requests today for today's workout? You want a little bit more focus on our arms, our legs? Anyone? Switch.
Mid
Both.
torso is core, isn't it?
Mid torso. Yeah, so you're talking like kind of like your ribs to like your hips, abs, lower back.
It would be abs.
Okay. We could do a little bit more abs, yeah. Teresa,
I was saying both, arms and legs.
arms and legs. Okay, so arms, abs, and legs. Okay. You could do that. Let's do our hamstring stretch.
I
So
need
slide your
everything.
hands down. Yeah, we could
Good.
switch it up. Um,
Thanks.
so grab a hold of your ankles and just stretch. I'll do some movements that will you could target all three and relax. Whew. All right. So by request, we will be doing maybe a little bit more focus on arms, abs, and legs. So I'll do some of like we have biceps, triceps. Yeah, so we could do a combination of those. Legs, there's plenty of legs exercises. And then for our abs, we are going to be a little bit limited when we're standing. But core as well is going to be your lower back. So we could do some good mornings that are going to target that core area and our backside. And then when we get down to the floor, we'll probably spend a little bit more time on legs and also on your abs and your obliques. So obliques are going to be the muscles that kind of come here at this angle. Sometimes, um, first thing we notice, I know I definitely notice it too, and it's for men. It's one of those areas that it's like the last area of fat to go away, which is that like muffin top area. So those are your obliques, and sometimes those are deep in there, so like the fat just sits on top. And another muscle that we don't really think about, but we'll target a little bit, is your intercostals, which are when we're eating ribs, those are the intercostals that are eating some meat between your ribs. So, and again, that allows kind of your ribs to expand and contract as your lungs are opening and closing. We'll work on those too. So, anyways, let's go ahead and grab your dumbbells. We'll use those. So, if you have multiple sets, go ahead and grab those. Because we could probably lift a little bit more with our legs than with our arms. So give you about a minute to grab your equipment. So go ahead and find that. Oof. All right. As always, but this being our first set, usually our first set, I like going a little bit easier um, just to pretty much wake up the muscles a little bit more. Go through that. Just give you 1 second.
Coach, I have a guest with me today.
Who's your friend?
Let me show.
Here.
Her name is
Hello.
Amna.
Hi.
Hi, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Not bad. Thank you for joining.
Of course, thank you.
All right. Yep. Feel free. And then what's your friend's name again, Carmen?
Her name is Amna, Amna.
Okay, Amna. Nice to meet you.
Likewise.
All right. Here we go. So hopefully you enjoy it. Nothing too crazy. Again, we don't want to do anything that causes pain or discomfort. And I bring that up just because like I have sometimes my left hip, there's weeks where it feels good and there's days where it feels terrible. So just depending on how it feels that day, it might influence my workout. And then for instance, if we do a shoulder raise and I'm here, shoulder's gonna feel healthy. If I go up here at this angle, it starts clicking. I do that enough, I'm probably gonna feel some fatigue for the rest of the day. So just pay attention for those little cues. But with this being our first set, let's go ahead and just do our regular. One of the easiest bicep curls that we could do would be the hammer grip. So go ahead and do the hammer grip curls. So for those, again, hammer grip, your palms should be facing towards your midline. They're not facing in front of you, they're facing towards your midline. And let's go ahead and do 10 to 15 of these. Okay, so just here, fully extend down and up. Exhale on your way down. Inhale on your way up. Down. And just control it. If the weight is really light, then you might want to aim for that 15 to 20. Like if you feel like you could do 30 or 40 of these, then just aim for the higher number. But if you're struggling, a good number to be happy with would be like 8 or 10. If you can do 5, then the weight is too heavy for these. And again, if you lose count of how many reps you've done, a good indicator would be when your arms are start to burn a little bit. I'm gonna do 2 more. Last one. All right. Then I'm gonna put those down. All right. So as we're doing these strengthening exercises, these heavier ones, we do want to get good recovery. It's still bothering me. I did a workout on Friday and my shoulder's still clicking. Um, so anyways, we want to make sure that we get a good recovery. So anywhere between 30 to 40 seconds will suffice. So next we're gonna go with our obliques a little bit here. So we're gonna go hands behind our back and then pretty much just go elbow to, I call these elbows to knee, but sometimes it turns into just a neck jerk here. So I want to focus more of like shoulder to knee or shoulder to hip, if that makes sense. So for here, you want to just crunch to your side. So we're going to go for 15 on each side, okay? So let's do right side first. So we're here, ready, begin. So 1, 2, 3, 15. 5, 6, 7, 8. This is good for your hips too. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. All right, rest a little bit. As you're crunching down, it's really contracting those muscles on your right side, if we're crunching on that right side, but the left side intercostals are being stretched too, so you're getting benefits on both sides. All right, ready? Left side, 15, okay, go. 1, 2, so drive that knee to elbow. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. All right, very good. Catch your breath. All right, so next we're going to go ahead and do calf raises. These are very easy. If this is brand new for you, you could just do body weight calf raises. So just right here, lifting your heels off the floor. And you want to do these pulses, not too quick, maybe about a second up, a second down. If that's easy enough for you, if you want to do a little bit more, then just have some dumbbells at your side and add a little bit more weight into that. So go ahead. So for these, we want to do 15 to 20. So we're here. And again, just heels up, down, and just repeat. This is working on your calves, a little bit on your arches. This is one of those that people always talk about wanting to have nice calves. Um, really, and then what's funny is sometimes I'll see people that want to have nice calves just do maybe these exercises for about maybe 2 sets, once or twice a week. Uh, don't expect your calves to change dramatically from just doing calf raises. You're probably the people that I've seen with really nice calves, well, I don't even want to say nice calves, just really defined calves, are folks that are walking a lot, running, uphill runners or hikers or stairmasters. Um, Someone who walks around barefoot a lot will get their calves activated. So yeah, so I think you'll get more from just walking around than doing these. But we do these to strengthen that specific area, not for the look, but just to strengthen. So that's why we're doing these. Okay. So all right, we're gonna move on to our next exercise. So we did our hammer curls. So now let's go ahead and do our tricep overhead extensions. Okay. So for this one, you could do sitting down. Again, just make sure that dumbbell is positioned nicely and safely behind your head. What I mean by that is we don't want that dumbbell to be too close to our head where it's going to sit on your spine. We don't want to drop that and hurt yourself. So just make sure it's a little bit further away. You see there's a nice gap between my back and the dumbbell. So I'm here, gripping with both hands. And then I'm going to extend and then back down. Extend, down. Exhale, inhale. Okay, 4, 5, 6, say 8 to 12 of these. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Oof, felt that one. Okay. Very good. All right, from here, we're going to do our good morning. So this is going to be for our lower back. So for this one, you could do sitting down. You might be limited in your range of motion if we're sitting. And if you are sitting, you want to be towards the front of the chair, separate your legs, and we're just pretty much going to hinge at the hips and come back down. Again, you are limited with your movement there, but that's an option. And if you want to do these standing, you're just going to come here, hold the weight, kind of stick your hips out behind you, and then keep your back straight. Hinge, and then back up slowly, okay? All right, so we're aiming for 10 to 12 of these, okay? Ready? And begin. So back is straight, slowly down, and then back up, okay? So you can hold that weight on your chest, or you could just do body weight if you want more of the stretch. So if you're doing body weight, there's going to be more stretching than strengthening, but it's still beneficial. But inhale my way down, exhale my way up. So again, as I'm closing my body, I'm pretty much Inhaling, and as I'm opening up, I'm exhaling. Got 3 more. Last one. Very good. Alrighty. 40 seconds rest. So that targets our lower back, which is part of our core. I know my runners on my team, when I say core, they think we're just going to be doing abs or six pack, but no, core is your lower back too. All right. So next leg movement that we're going to be doing is reverse. Well, actually, Carmen, since you have a guest, I'll let them know that we're about to do Carmen's favorite leg exercise, which is going to be the curtsy lunge. So you do enough of these, your glutes are going to be hurting for a few days, or at least sore. So the curtsy lunge. So Carmen, if you want, I should have you demonstrate, right? So we're here. We're gonna bring that right leg behind and across and lunge. Okay, and then we're gonna do the same for the other leg. You're gonna feel that on that opposite, or the leg that's moving. Yeah, on the opposite lateral. Yeah, on the lateral glute. Okay, so. All right, we're gonna do 8 to 10 on each leg, so 16 to 20. So just body weight right here. So come across, step and lunge. Then we're gonna alternate. And come up. So you want your hips to be close to the same height as your knees. You don't want to just come down here. You want to come a little bit lower. Okay, so that's 3, 4, and 4, 5, 5. And it's good to do different exercises so your joints don't just become stagnant or just practice one direction for their mobility. That's why if you go to a gym and you see a machine you've never used before and it doesn't look too intimidating and you're confident you could use it um, and use it properly, then it's good. Just try it out, switch up your workouts. Like I said, you don't want to just become this robot that's limited in certain movements. You want to make sure that you move your joints in all directions. I lost count, but I'm going to do one more on each side. I feel like I'm close to that 9 or 10 range. And up. All right. Good job. All right, that's set number 2. Not too bad. Take about a minute rest. Grab some water. Oof. Okay. So we did our triceps. Let's focus more on our biceps right now and our shoulders. Okay, so we're gonna do a bicep Arnold press. So dumbbells, palms are facing the screen. You're gonna do a curl. You're gonna rotate out and press up, come back down and undo that curl. So again, curl, rotate, shoulder press, come back, right? It's gonna be our first movement. What can we do? Oh, we could do cross toe taps. So a little bit of cardio and a little bit of core for this one. So we're just coming across, opposite hand to toes. Okay. Doing that. And then for our legs, we could go ahead and we can do. For our legs, we did our glutes. We need something for our quads. So what we could do for our quads, let's do a static reverse lunge. So we'll be here and then just drop down and up. Okay, that's gonna work on that quad from the leg that's extended. All right, ready? So bicep curls into a shoulder press. So we're here, ready, begin here, rotate, press, one. So breathing cues, inhale and then exhale. Just recover. So again, as I'm kind of separating my limbs from like my core, that's when I'm exhaling. And when I'm bringing my body closer together to itself, that's when I'm inhaling. Okay, and I like standing with the split position. That's because I feel like it protects my back a little bit more. I feel like sometimes when my feet are close together, after a while, my back starts irritating. Do about 3 more. Ooh, shoulders are getting tired. All right. And that's more of a complex movement. So not just focusing on one muscle group, but multiple. So yeah. So when you do those, there's certain exercises that you could do in case you don't have too much time to work on for your workout movements like that. You could kill two birds with one stone. You got biceps and shoulders, and then yeah. So I don't want to hear this. I don't have time for a workout. You just need, I think, with 20 minutes, you could get a pretty good workout in still. So, oof. Yeah, especially like, what I've seen people do sometimes is they go for a walk and let's say at a red light, I've seen people just do calf raises while they're waiting for that light to change colors. Or sometimes you might just do like an alternating lunge. Or sometimes just in the middle of your walk, instead of just walking, you could start lunging. Maybe pick one house that you just lunge across. You might look like a crazy person out there for a little bit, but you'll be working out on your hamstrings and on your quads. So we did our arms, core. We're gonna go opposite toe taps. So we're here, ready, and hand to opposite foot, and then just alternating. This one we're going for time. We're gonna go 45 seconds right here. So bring your hand to your opposite foot. Ten more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, time. All right. How are you feeling? How's everyone doing? How are you doing, Carmen?
Just dying here. That's it.
Okay, perfect.
Aquí andamos, Julio, cansados, pero aquí andamos.
Yeah, I know. I'm like,
Ah.
well, you guys know if you've taken cardio and core with me, I feel like that's a class we haven't had in a while. But man, cardio and core, especially when you burn 300 calories, you just want to go home and nap.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and do our static lunge. So you could do your own body weight, or if you want to hold any dumbbells at your side or hold a goblet saw, you could always do that. But again, static, we're just going to get in that position and go down and up. And you're going to feel it on this quad and maybe on this hamstring. Okay, so just go up, down. We're doing 10 on each leg. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, we'll switch. We'll go here and begin. So 1. Remember, next week will technically be our last workout because the last week, the official last week of the term, we'll be doing our assessment. Okay, so for our assessment, we'll be going over the 5 or 6 lifts that we did it on the first day of class, and then hope to improve on those. Okay, and on that day to actually help with any re-enrollment, with any of the classes that I have this summer. So, ooh, and very good. All right, take a little breather. All right. I think we'll do one movement for our arms, which, what can we do? What movements for our arms? We did our biceps. Let's go. We're going to do 21s. Okay, so 21s is going to be pretty much just like an arm killer workout. So 21s we'll do that, and then we'll transition down to the floor to finish off with some leg and core stuff on the ground. Okay, so for 21s, you're going to have your dumbbells. We're going to do 7. No, yeah. So we're gonna come up here and then go 7 halfway down with our dumbbells. So like a halfway down curl. Then we're gonna fully extend down here. Then 7 halfway up. Okay, and then lastly, we're gonna do 7 curls to finish up. Okay, and that's gonna be 21. So 7 of each adds up to 21. All right, and then we'll go into the floor. So grab your dumbbells. Okay, bring them to the top and go 7 down. So ready? And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then back up, and then now bring them back down. Okay, now 7 halfway up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. All right. Now 7 full curls. Okay, ready? Begin. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 more, 6, and 7. There you go. Good. Good work. We're gonna rest our arms. Okay, grab your yoga mat. Let's go on the floor. Whew, how's that? How's everyone's arms? Okay?
Coach, I have to leave. I have doctor appointment, so I will
Oh
take
my
the
goodness.
recording.
Okay. All right, Neelam, take care.
Thank you. Bye.
I'll see you next week. Whew. Are the arms feeling? Good. Okay, just bring this a little closer to the floor. All right, I'm gonna take my shoes off. All right. So, as we let our arms recover right now, a movement we could do is just our Jane Fondas. So we could get on our side, and then just go ahead, bring that leg up, slowly down. Make sure it doesn't make contact with the floor or your foot. And then we're doing 12 to 15 of these. So again, just try to rest your shoulder and your head. It should just be focused on your legs. One more. Okay, we're gonna switch. Somewhere here. So again, 12, about 10 to 12 of these. I have less range of motion on this side because of my hip. Ten, 11, and 12. All right. Oof. So that's legs. We're gonna get on our back, like a sit-up position. Okay. So we're here. Hands are on your lap. And we're just gonna slide our hands towards our knees. Okay, so from here, slide your hands towards your knees and back. All right, we're gonna do this for time. I'm gonna go ahead and do this for 45 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go. So slide your hands. Try to go past your knees if you can. Just try to breathe. Ten more seconds. 3, 2, 1, time. Very good. Oof. All right. Awesome. All right, so just kind of stretch a little bit. We have like a minute rest right now. Um, so next, we haven't done any chest movements. So we are going to do push-ups. Push-ups will also target your arms and your shoulders. So remember, for push-ups, you could do knee-assisted push-ups. If you focus on wider push-ups, that's going to focus on your chest. The closer you come, the more your shoulders and your arms are going to be used. So just, gauge yourself, whatever you want to work on a little bit more. If you want to work on your arms a little bit more, just come a little bit closer on your position. Now, the further away you go, now you're using your chest a little bit more. So just find that comfort zone that you're looking for. Okay. Alrighty. So about another 20 seconds. Oof. I just bought this little mini fan. I'll show you at Costco. This little thing. Um, I was thinking, I saw it at Costco the other day, and the example or the sample they had was super quiet, and it was blowing a lot of air. And I was like, I need that for my garage in the summer. So that's what I grabbed because my bigger one's super loud. Well, I have two fans, but too loud. So I'm gonna be using that one this summer because it gets hot in this garage. Alrighty. All right, push-ups. So anywhere between 10 to 15 push-ups. Okay, ready? Find your position. Knee assisted or regular, okay? Ready, begin. Trigger breathing. Oof. Nice work. Okay. Good stuff. All right. So next we're going to do a side plank. So side plank, you're going to be resting either on definitely on your elbow. You're always resting on your elbow, but then the other position is going to be on your hip, just holding this position here on your knees. So off your hip, or off your knees, off your hips, and just your foot and your elbow, okay? So that's the side plank. We're gonna be working on both sides. Um, oof. So, and we're gonna be doing each side for anywhere between 30 to 60 seconds, okay? So I'll give you a count of where we're reaching those times. So we'll start in 10 seconds. And we're gonna do left side first, and then we're gonna about 20 seconds rest and go right side. 3, 2, 1, and go. So again, so you could have your elbow to your hips, elbows to knees, or elbows to ankles. Elbows to ankles, more advanced. And if this position is still easy for you, you could really challenge yourself by raising your leg and doing that. So we're at 30 seconds. Forty seconds. You guys could thank Kathleen for this and her abs request. 50 seconds. Thanks, Kathleen. We can get our six packs for the day. And time. All right, we're gonna switch sides. Our left arm could get a little fatigue. But remember, abs are made in the kitchen. So, ready? And up. You ever heard that before? Abs are made in the kitchens because if we have, and it's not all about looks and appearance because you could have very strong core, but if our um, body fat, it's on the higher end, then you won't see the definition of your core. But then sometimes you might see really a lean person with abs, but that could just be due to um, low body fat. But in reality, those muscles could be weak too if they're not practicing any core movements. So we're at 30 seconds. So again, it just depends on your goals. All right, 45 seconds, and I'm shaking. 50. Woo. 3, 2, 1, time. Oh, that right side. Oh, that sucked. How was that for anyone? How's everyone feeling? That right side is weaker. Work.
Well, I'm gonna have to build up stamina for that one.
Yeah, I know. I think I just thought about when I was like 15 years old and I could do this for 3 minutes. Not there anymore. Oof. All right. How are we doing, Amna? Are you enjoying it or did you leave?
It's been a workout.
Okay. All right, good. All right. So we're gonna target our hip flexors, our glutes, and pretty much our hip flexors and our glutes right now. So we'll be on our fours quite a bit, working a little bit more on our legs right now. And then after we're done with this, we're gonna be belly down and do some Supermans or Superwomen's too to work on our lower back and our upper back. Okay, so let's go ahead and get on your fours. So wrists should be right below your shoulders. They shouldn't be ahead of you or tucked in under, just right below your head. You're looking down. Your knees should be right below your hips, okay? So again, just pay attention to all these cues. You're looking down, and now we're gonna drive our right foot or our heel towards the sky, okay? So if you wanna just see quickly, so these are donkey kicks. So this is working on our lower back and on our glutes, okay? All right, we're gonna do 12 on each side. Ready, begin. One. And again, slower is better. We're not using any equipment for this. So just make sure that foot's coming up towards the ceiling, not back towards the wall behind you. Okay? So just keep your head down. We don't want to hurt our neck. So again, that foot towards the ceiling. Let's do 3 more. And relax. Before we switch, just get off your hands because we're going to be in this position for a while, and just having your your body in that posture could fatigue your shoulders and your arms. So just rest for about 15 seconds and we'll switch again. All right, let's reset. Left side. Show all your cues, your wrists, your shoulders, your knees to hips. Ready, and begin. Make sure you're looking down. We don't want to be looking around. And that also applies to when you do push-ups. You don't want to look around, just want to keep your neck and your head protected. The best way to do that is by looking down. Last 2. And reset. Good. All right. Let's recover a little bit. All right. So next one's gonna be a fire hydrant. So similar position at that starting position, but now we're gonna flare our knees out to the side. Okay. So this time you're at this angle. You can maybe see what I'm doing. So before I was doing this with my right leg, now I'm gonna come up this way. Okay. And again, I wanna keep looking down to protect my neck as well. All right, ready? So we're doing 10 of these. Oh. All right, bye, Kathleen. All right, here we go. We're here and begin. So bring that knee out, then back in. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm gonna work on that left side. All right, ready? Left side and begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Perfect. Alrighty. Okay, we're almost done. All right, we're gonna go ahead and do our Supermans. So for these, for belly down, we could do a light stretch and just rest on your elbows here. Okay, so just belly down, resting on your elbows. Okay. All right, so now remove your elbows, put your hands to your side, and we're just gonna hold our knees off the ground, your legs, try to lift them as much as you can off the ground, and then your chest. And we're just gonna hold that position for anywhere between 30 to 50 seconds. Okay? All right, 3, 2, 1, up. Just hold. We have 15 seconds. We're at 30. 40. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time. All right, and then just to stretch out my back, I'm gonna do the cobra stretch here. So just placing my hands where my elbows were. Just do this gentle stretch. From here, I'm gonna, in one movement, bring my glutes towards my heels. I'm gonna reset back, keep my hands in place, and bring my glutes back. Drop them, head down. Reset. All right. And I think just because we didn't really focus on our back and our chest, the last two movements, I do want to focus on those. So we'll do those with our dumbbells standing up. Okay, so, and right after that, we'll do our cool down. So close to the finish line right now. So for our chest, this is going to be chest and, fix that camera, chest and shoulders, and it's going to be the underhand dumbbell front raise, okay? So for that, right here, palms are facing the screen. I go from wide position to up and narrow position, okay? So that's one. So right here. So let's start over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, getting 10 to 12, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. All right, and for our last back movement here, we're gonna do our bent over rows. So for that, we're gonna be resting on a chair, on the counter. Back is nice and straight. Dumbbells down here, arms extended, and you're gonna pull that dumbbell up to your side, flexing at your elbow, and that's working on our back. So that's gonna be the dumbbell row. Okay, bent over dumbbell row. Alrighty, ready? We're doing 10 on each arm, extended, and begin. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And reset. Ready? Other side and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right. Good work. Those away. Whew. Come down. Grab your chair. And let's just stretch. So, alrighty. Good work, everyone. High fives all around. Thanks, you, Amna, for joining. Jan, I don't know if you have your 5 friends with you right now, but if you do, thank you, friends. Oh, good job, everyone. Let's go ahead and stretch. So let's sit on your left hand. Bring your right hand over. Fix that left shoulder. Make sure it doesn't go anywhere, and allow that elbow to drop. Over here. Feel that stretch in your left side of the neck. Let's go ahead and switch. So let's sit on that right hand and bring that elbow down. Very good. Both hands now behind and on top, and elbows come down. Keep your back straight. Relax. Very good. All right, let's go ahead. Just a couple more. Trunk rotation. So knees are facing forward. Use the side and back rest of your chair, and just a gentle rotation to the right. Reach a little bit more if you're able to. Let's switch. Left side. Rotate. Reset. All right, and then our last stretch is our performance stretch. So let's bring that left ankle on that right knee. Let's just rest it here. We're hanging out over here. Feel that stretch either on your hip or on that bottom side of your hamstring. Add a little bit of pressure downwards on that knee. Yeah, so right now my heart rate is at about 75 beats per minute. When I was watching the race, I was just watching it. I wasn't, running it. My heart rate was close to like 95 to 100 for about 40 minutes. Let's bring that knee up. And I was telling my friend, I was like I was pretty antsy and anxiety and a little stressed during those 40 minutes when my athlete was racing. But yeah, it's just wild. You're just sitting there and your heart rate just goes up just from like thoughts or that's crazy what the body does. Switch. So right ankle on that left knee. So yeah, so like I said, enrollment, if you can, be awesome. Amna, if you're interested for summer classes, feel free to enroll. Carmen could help you out, hopefully. If not, I have instructions. But yeah, and sometimes you saw some folks had to leave early. Some folks aren't here. Someone texted me earlier that they couldn't make it, but they'll watch the recording later on the Canvas shell. So that's always an option. And that's, for anyone that can't make it. Gentle push down. But yeah, enrollment is what keeps these classes alive. So be awesome. The more we have, the merrier. Right. And then let's bring that knee up. Alrighty. I think that will do it for today. I'm gonna stop the recording. But any questions before we head